Good morning, welcome back. It is still Tuesday. You seen our video earlier this morning of the Baseball Meyer Mystery 10. Kind of interesting stuff inside of there, but I decided I wanted to do an additional video today, and this is going to be a set review. Obviously, you know what it is from the title, but it's going to be 2004 Press Pass Premium. This is just going to be the base set, cards 1 through 50. There are shorter printed cards, which is going to be cards 51 through 81, which I'm eventually working on that. Or maybe it's 2003 that I'm working on. I can't remember, but I've got a short print set also in the works. But we're just going to do the base 50 card set of 2004 Press Pass Premium. Between Premium and VIP, these were the higher end sets that Press Pass had to offer back during this time period. You can see obviously card 1 here, Dale Jr., has the Budweiser airbrushed off of it, and the backs of the cards also will, most of the alcohol or tobacco drivers will have their sponsors airbrushed off and some generic font put in its place, and just a little bit of a paragraph about each driver. So we're going to start off with Dale Earnhardt Jr., multiple-time most popular driver. Up next, Tony Stewart, driving for Joe Gibbs. He, of course, is a 3-time Cup Series champion, and you can see those Nextel patches really stand out in this era. Of course, those replaced the Winston patches, which were the last used in 2003. Kevin Harvick is next, 2014 Cup Series champion. Jimmie Johnson, 7-time. But during this time, he was 0-time. He had yet to win a championship. 2004, he would be runner-up to Kurt Busch. Joe Nemechek, all smiles. He doesn't know he's not going to be long for this particular ride. The 01 car, the U.S. Army car, MB2 Motorsports. Elliott Sadler looking really serious, driving for Robert Yates Racing. Jeff Gordon, at this time, he is a 4-time champion, and many thought he might even be the 3rd driver to get 7. But 2001 would be his last championship, and he would be He would be an 0 for championships the rest of his career. Matt Kenseth, who was the defending Cup Series champion. I'm trying to see if that's that is the Nextel patch right there. You can just barely see it. It blends in with all the yellow on his uniform. Dale Jarrett, the 1999 Cup Series champion, drove for Robert Yates. Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Cup Series champion. He was still with Joe Gibbs during this time, and kind of on a downward trajectory in his career. Just things weren't going good for the 18 car at that time. Greg Biffle, driving for Jack Roush, drove for Roush most of his career. Casey Mears, Target car. Chip Ganassi, car 41. Didn't have a lot of luck in this car. Ran for Rookie of the Year. Kurt Busch. Look how young Kurt's looking there, folks. Doesn't even look like he's ready to start shaving yet, but he's got his Sharpie uniform on, and he was the champion in 2004. Ward Burton. A lot of people forget about this ride, the Net Zero car. Let's take a look at that car. I always liked this car. I always thought it was a pretty cool looking car. But the Net Zero. And this is the team that would be... What car? Would that be the 4 car now, I think? I can't remember the way that they have it all changed around, but it is one of the Stewart-Haas teams now. Ricky Rudd drove for the Wood Brothers during this time. Didn't have much success. Terry Labonte was... Rick Hendrick was kind of shoving him out the door and not as greener pastures with teams like Hall of Fame Racing and... who was the 32 car? Go Fast Racing. Kyle Petty, kind of in the twilight of his career. Ricky Craven was still driving the 32 car at this time, but also I think he was kind of on his way out as this car was just not performing. Jeremy Mayfield, we all know that saga. He was still with Evernham, but only for a couple more years. Rusty Wallace had couple more decent seasons. I think 2005 is when he retired, so this would be his penultimate season. Ryan Newman, still very early in his Cup career, coming off of an 8-win season in 2003. He was the 2002 Rookie of the Year. Jeff Green, driving for Petty Enterprises at the time. Robbie Gordon was driving for Richard Childress. They had a lot of good runs, just Robbie was kind of a hard driver to harness, I think. Then you have Jamie McMurray driving for Chip Ganassi in the The iconic Haviland colors, but number 42, not 28. Sterling Marlin. Now, see, here's a beer sponsor that doesn't get blurred out, so I don't know if it was a corporate thing, because there you go. You got the Coors Light all over the place on the car, on the uniform, and so on and so forth. A very iconic paint scheme for that era. Michael Waltrip driving for DEI. Ken Schrader driving for BAM, the Schwans. I always thought it was funny because he had some kind of contract with Budweiser for many years. Always have a Budweiser patch on his uniform. Not necessarily on the car, but always on the uniform. But there's Beth Ann Morgenthau was the owner, car number 49. And if you're not familiar with what Schwans is a home food delivery service. They have ice cream and meats and just all sorts of different gourmet foods. They've really got some good food. Check them out if you get a chance. Jeff Burton driving for Roush during this time of tons of rotating sponsors, and he would be out the door at season's end. And Carl Edwards would be taking over that car in Michigan that year. Mark Martin, this would be his second to last year in the 6 car. Of course, 2005 was supposed to be his last. Kevin LePage driving for Morgan McClure. Now, this is kind of funny. In 2004, Kodak sponsorship went to the 77 car of Brendan Gaughan. But look, Kodak still had like an associate sponsorship with Morgan McClure, and that probably shows up here in the, maybe on the C panel. There it is, right there in front of the left rear tire. They had that yoke TV, which I don't know, I guess you could call it a yoke. It didn't work out. But anyway, not sure what yoke TV was, but there's some contractual difficulties there. There's Brendan Gaughan, Uncle Brenny. He had a recent interview on the Scene Vault podcast, pretty good. Kind of talks about his time with Penske a little bit. These must be the rookie contenders, because there's Casey Kane, looking like he's about 14 years old and 90 pounds soaking wet. Scott Riggs, driving for MBV. I guess it was eventually a third Evernham car. Johnny Sauter driving a third RCR car. That deal just didn't work out. Brian Vickers. Scott Wimmer, who took a third place in the Daytona 500. And then in 2005 ended up on his roof in the Daytona 500. Now we got some car cards that we'll look at here. Turn these sideways. Rusty Wallace, Penske Racing. Again, a beer sponsor, not censored. Mark Martin, Viagra. Pfizer Industries, or whatever, pharmaceuticals. There's Junior. I don't know why Bud didn't want to be on there, because there's a lot of exposure to be had. Michael Waltrip. Matt Kenseth. Iconic DeWalt colors. Jeff Gordon with the Flames at this point in his career. Ran the Rainbow for about the first 8 years and then went to the Flames for most of the rest of it. Kevin Harvick with kind of, I guess I call that like a sawtooth look. I don't know what you guys would call it, but it looks like where a saw blade just went through there and ripped the black off. Jimmy Johnson with just a very construction-looking Lowe's. Kurt Busch with one of the many incarnations of a Sharpie car. Then we have a few others here. Daytona, is this the Busch Clash? Can't really see it. Twin 125s, of course, they used to be, the qualifying races used to be 125 miles, then they changed it to 150 for whatever reason. There's Elliott Sadler, he won the second one in 2004. Looks like this is the pole winner, or I'm sorry, the Budweiser Shootout, also known as the Busch Clash, or formerly known as the Busch Cap Clash, now known as the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, which will be held at night next year. Pole winner in 2004 Daytona 500 was Greg Biffle, who had to start from the rear after, I believe, having to go to a backup car. And then, why didn't we have our winner? Why didn't Dale Jr. get a card saying he won the Daytona 500? But we have a checklist here of Tony Stewart. And I'll show you the checklist there, and we'll just kind of scroll up real quick, let you guys see. So, like I said, 51 through 81 are the short print cards. They're the champs, the challengers, and the premium choice. They are nice looking cards as well. So I don't know what you guys thought about this set. I'd like to see more. Again, I'm a stat guy, but I get these are higher end cards, and it's all about the photo quality, which I think these photos are really great. Quality of the cards is really good. They're really, really clean cards. Pretty thick stock, a little thicker stock than your normal, like your normal Press Pass, or this is more closer to a Prism thick, a little bit thicker than a Prism actually. But I think they're nice cards. It's a nice set. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick walk back through this era of cards. So anyway, appreciate you guys hanging in there for not really a long video, not really a short video, just kind of happily in between, but a nice little set review and something from, what is this, 14, 15 years ago, somewhere thereabouts. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Well, wait, 04, that's more than 14 years ago. That's almost 20 years ago. Wow. Okay, it'll be 18 years ago, 19 years ago next year. So anyway, wow, time flies. How about that? So almost a 20-year-old set of cards. So very, very cool. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come back and see us tomorrow, where we will rip some new cards and see what we can find. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.